I'll never forget the first time I saw a boy being told to be a man. He was 7 and had just wiped out on his bike. His knee was bleeding, tears were blurring his vision, and a well-meaning but firm voice gave him his first lesson in masculinity. You endure pain and you hide your emotions. That wasn't just a one-off lesson. It was day 1 of a lifelong training program on how to build a wall around one's own heart. It's a program millions of boys are put in without ever signing up. And that story isn't unique. From the time they're young, boys are socialized to think that showing feelings like sadness or fear makes them weak. Society pretty much hands them a rule book on how to be a man. And rule number 1 is almost always, be stoic. We've all heard the phrases, boys don't cry or man up. They're used to enforce these unspoken rules, and this conditioning is everywhere, from parents, friends, and the movies we watch, full of strong, silent heroes. This creates what many call the man box, a rigid set of expectations that trap men in a very narrow version of masculinity. Inside this box, strength means showing no emotion. Vulnerability is a weakness, something you have to avoid no matter what. So, over time, boys learn that showing how they really feel is risky. It might get them judged or made fun of. They learn to hide their feelings, not just from everyone else, but eventually from themselves. But here's the thing, emotions don't just vanish because we ignore them. Pushing them down is like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. It takes constant work, and sooner or later, they pop back up, usually in unhealthy ways. For a lot of men, anger becomes the only acceptable emotion to show. It ends up being a mask for deeper feelings of sadness, fear, or shame. This can lead to aggressive behavior or sudden outbursts that can really damage relationships. And the consequences are serious. Emotional suppression is a major reason for higher levels of stress, anxiety, and depression in men. It can even show up physically, causing things like high blood pressure and fatigue. There's even a name for this inability to identify and express feelings: normative male Alexithymia. It's a condition that comes from social conditioning, not biology. It gets in the way of intimacy and communication, making it tough to build deep connections with partners, friends, and family, which leads to a life of feeling utterly alone. Tragically, this is reflected in the devastating fact that in 2023, men in the US died by suicide 3.8 times more often than women. If any of this is hitting home for you, do me a favor and hit the like button and subscribe. It tells the powers that be that these are important conversations, and it helps get this message out to more people who might really need to hear it. But what if we've had it all wrong? What if real strength isn't about feeling nothing, but having the courage to face what you feel? Thankfully, the conversation around masculinity is finally starting to shift. More and more people are realizing that these old, rigid roles aren't just limiting, they're genuinely harmful. This isn't about being less of a man, it's about becoming more human. The answer isn't to bulldoze those emotional walls overnight. It's more like learning to open a window. It starts with just learning the words to describe what you're feeling, what some call emotional literacy. It can start with the simple, radical act of asking yourself, what am I actually feeling right now? Is it frustration, disappointment, fear? Just naming it, even if only to yourself, is a huge first step. From there, it's about finding one safe person, a partner, a friend, a therapist, and trying to share one feeling. For generations, men were given a script that told them strength means feeling nothing. But we know now that this just leads to a life of quiet desperation, disconnection, and pain. The future of masculinity isn't about being tough or soft. It's about being authentic. It's about giving ourselves the freedom to feel the whole spectrum of human emotion without being ashamed. When we redefine strength to include vulnerability, empathy, and emotional honesty, it's not just better for men, it's better for everyone. It leads to deeper relationships, better mental health, and a more fulfilling life. The legacy of the man box can stop with us. It stops when we find the courage to feel, to speak, and to truly connect with one another. What's your experience been with this? Share your story in the comments. Your voice is a huge part of this conversation.